What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Go-kart build video number 15. And in this video, I am finally excited to announce some very exciting news. I finally have built a rolling chassis for the go-kart. Now, it is not perfect, and there's really three things that are kind of an issue that I need to fix, and I'll get to that in a second. But I'm really excited that I got here finally. This is a huge milestone for the build project, and it's gonna, it's really cool because it actually looks like a go-kart. It looks like something that actually moves, and it's not just like a bunch of metal all welded together. So basically what I did today was my friend Matt came over and helped me do a lot of the stuff, did some grinding, did some welding, and a lot of the day we spent, after we put the wheels and tires on, we spent a lot of the day trying to kind of figure out what was wrong with the rolling chassis. And I mean, it's still pretty cool as it sits, but there are some things that I need to fix. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys right on over to the go-kart. And this is my mountain bike. And before I show you guys the go-kart, I just kind of want to tell you all something funny. I was planning on starting this video off with me rolling down the street on the go-kart being pushed by someone, but today, when I was planning on doing that, of course, out of all the days, today San Diego had like the worst thunder and lightning storms I've probably ever experienced living here, and I've lived here almost all of my life. But anyways, enough of that, and it was pouring down rain, so I couldn't really do it today. But here we go. This is the rolling chassis. And I won't tell you what's wrong with it just at first. I'll see if you guys can pick it and find it in your heads before, if you don't fast forward into the video. But it's kind of harder to pick up on camera, but this angle probably shows it a lot. Okay, so first thing that we noticed the minute that we put the wheels on, so before I talk about that, you can see, it's kind of out of focus, but I got the axles all put together, both sides. So those are the outer axle, and we got the inner axle, and I had to put the sprocket on for some sizing reference. And so once we got the tires on, we didn't really notice this problem until we put it on the ground. And if you couldn't figure it out already, this angle shows it pretty well. The go-kart is riding with the back end significantly lower than the front end. Now, it kind of looks funny, it kind of looks like a lowrider car, but what that is a part of is mainly due to how the suspension is set up in the front over here. I'm going to stop recording and then start a new clip so I can refocus the camera so I can show you guys better. Okay, so the reason why it's sitting up higher in the front, we measured, it's sitting about good 2 or 3 inches higher in the front than it is in the back. And the reason being is just the nature of how I decided to build the front suspension arms. When I built the rear suspension arms and the front suspension arms, I welded the shocks here so that I assured that the suspension arm was flat and in the same plane and parallel to the frame. Now, because these front wheels sit on the spindle and they have, the spindle's X high or whatever, it throws the height off, and that's why it is higher up in the front. Now, what I'm going to do to fix this are a few different things. One, I'm going to grind this weld off, and that's going to be kind of a pain in the butt. But I'm going to grind this weld off, and then I'm going to move this lower. I'm going to take this and then move it down to the very most bottom part that I can. And that'll lower the frame probably about 1 inch or 1/2 inch, somewhere around there. And that won't completely fix it, and that's okay, because something else, another solution or another problem was found that will need to be taken care of, but then that problem also kind of has the same solution, so we came up with a solution to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Now, the next problem that we found out was that something with the rear sprocket. Now, if you notice, rear sprocket that I got, it's a 69-tooth sprocket, and it's got that sprocket guard on it. And now I noticed that that sprocket with the sprocket guard is about the same size in diameter as the rear tires. Now what does that mean? Since the rear tires and the sprocket sit in the same plane because they're all connected by ideally one axle that's just broken into 3 parts, it sits in the same plane. So we were worried about the sprocket not having enough clearance on the bottom, and as you can see, it's kind of out of focus, but the sprocket is very close to the floor. I can fit my finger underneath it, so it's not very wide at all. And the solution that we came up with to do here is, well, I didn't want to have to cut and re-weld different things. So what we came up with was, these are 5-inch rims, and I'm pretty sure that they sell 6-inch rims with the same bolt pattern that fits the same hub. I hope so. So there's a go-kart store, you know, about 30 minutes away from here. On Monday after work, I'm going to go by there, and hopefully they'll have those tires and wheels that I can use here. So it's a little bit more money because I have to, you know, buy new tires and wheels, but it'll help save that. And also, what I'm going to do here, the second solution to this problem, is I'm going to get a smaller sprocket. This is a 69-tooth sprocket, which is considered a medium size, and then I'm going to go ahead and go with like a 54-ish, 50, somewhere around that range, and that decreases the diameter of the sprocket, so it's going to be a lot, you know, it's going to be closer in, so we're not going to have that clearance issue. So that was the other problem that we found. Now, as the go-kart sits here, I'm kind of glad that I have to redo the front anyways. I have a good reason to do the front because the front end kind of looks cambered a little bit, and I don't know if you can see that. The front tire, it's kind of cambered out with like negative camber like this, and so that's due to the bracket not being perfectly perpendicular to the ground. So when I re-weld the bracket on, that'll give me an opportunity to assure that's straight, and I'll make sure I do that so it doesn't look broken. So I'm going to fix that and get new tires for the back and get a new sprocket. And I just ordered a bunch of parts, so I'll kind of tell you guys about those at the end of the video. But one thing I wanted to show you was something that I was a little nervous about when I got this rolling chassis put together, is how the suspension actually functions when you put a load on it. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on the go-kart and show you guys that the suspension actually works pretty well. I'm going to try and show you guys the how the back suspension kind of works, but it's tough because when I step on this, the front wants to raise up because it's got that weird pitch to it because of the problems I just told you about. So I'm going to try it, and it rolls pretty well. You know, the axle functions right, except since I don't have steering linkages, the front wheels kind of go wacky. But I'm going to jump on this while holding onto my garage door, and I know some of you are probably waiting for me to fall, but hopefully I don't. So, but if you can hear that noise, that's the sprocket hitting the ground actually. So if you think about it, when I put this 37-pound engine on the back, that's definitely going to be a problem. So that needs to be addressed, and it will be. So that's just to kind of show you guys. I mean, you can't really see much travel right now because of the sprocket hits the ground. Like the sprocket maybe travels, you know, a ½ inch and then it hits the ground. So, but the front end you'll see a lot more travel. So I'll go ahead and bring the camera over there and show you guys that now. All right, so I'll go ahead and, oops, straighten these tires out. I don't have anything to grab onto, so hopefully my balance is good enough that I don't fall and the go-kart doesn't roll away. So if you just look at the shocks here, you'll actually see the shocks compress, and I'll do another shot of the shocks actually zoomed in. So I'm jumping pretty hard, so this is gonna work pretty well, I think. And you know, this is a street kart, so I'm not expecting to go over any huge bumps. Just have to get some WD-40 or something and get rid of this squeak. But I was worried because someone commented on the previous video saying the shocks would be too stiff, but I think these are just right. They can't be any softer, and just because I don't want too much travel. So I'm glad that I stuck with these, and it works out pretty well. My whole design here holds up pretty well, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you like a kind of a close-up view if that's too far away to see. Alright, so here's a little bit of a close-up view that you can actually see the shock compressing and the suspension kind of functioning a little better. So I'll go ahead and try and stand over here so I'm not in the way of the shot. Oop. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I think it holds up pretty well, and I'm really satisfied with those shocks. I just got those off eBay, and they're just bicycle shocks, so they work really well. One thing that I actually meant to talk to you guys about in the last video that I didn't get to because I ran into that problem with the shock tabs was the modification I was going to have to do to the shock tabs just to ensure a little bit more strength. And I apologize if this shot's a little dark. Don't want to have to get out my light, but hopefully this will do. But basically what I had to do on every shock tab was, as you can see here, there's now a piece of circular tubing that's welded in between here. The reason why I did that is this steel is pretty thin. It's only like 0.0695 inches wide. So it's pretty thin stuff, and that's the only stuff that Home Depot sold, and I didn't want to have to go searching around for other metal supply places, so I kind of just stuck with that. And the reason why I kind of got freaked out by that is one day I took my wrench and I squeezed it here, and I could actually bend it in a little bit. So I was just a little bit nervous having this entire piece be by itself like that. So I just put in cross pieces like that, and it looks like that for every shock tab. So I'm just going to show you this one. And you know, you can still bend it a little bit at the top, but it definitely helps by keeping it from bowing in at the bottom here. So, and most of the load anyways is going to be going this way and this way rather than side to side. So not too worried about that, but just kind of a precautionary thing to just ensure a little bit more strength. Now, one of my favorite views after getting this rolling chassis put together is seeing the cart like from this angle, and it really looks really aggressive and stanced, not in like a bad way, but just like a good stance, and kind of like has like a drag racer look because of the big tires in the back. And since I'm going to be getting new tires for the back, I might even consider using the tires that are in the back for the front, but I have to kind of see how the spacing works because I don't want the front tires to sit farther out than the back tires because I think that would look kind of weird. So kind of just have to play it by ear with that. But yeah, this is where I'm at with the go-kart. I just have some cleanup to do with the welds and stuff like that, and the next step is to mount the seat, and that brings me on to my next point. Now, before I end this video, I just want to kind of catch you guys up with what to expect next video. So basically, I don't know if I'm going to record the modification. I'm going to do this to the front suspension. I don't think I will, just because it's kind of a minor thing. I'd rather catch you guys up when I get like a huge major milestone in. And basically what I ordered was seat struts to mount the seat, a clutch, chain, what else? What else did I order? Oh, I ordered a steering wheel and a steering wheel hub. So after I mount the seat, I'm going to get on to building the steering column. Once I build the steering column, I'm going to mount the engine. Once I mount the engine, I'm going to build the pedals. Once I build the pedals, I'm going to put the brake on. Once I put the brake on, I'm going to put all the throttle cables and brake lines, and then we'll be flying down the street. So that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, if you have any comments and or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to answer them. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a good one. See you all in the next video.